In the family room, I was watching TV. When my son-in-law entered, he turned it off. "Old woman, go to your chamber. I now own this living room." My kid looked away. Without a word, I got up, grabbed my keys, and walked away. A man in a clean suit showed up at the front door the following day. He pressed the bell. "Greetings from my channel. Every day, I post new life tales here, and I would be so grateful if you could like and subscribe to my video. Let's get back to my story now. If you listen through to the finish, I'm sure you'll adore it." The remote control clicked that night, and the family room fell silent like a gunshot. I was sitting in my green velvet armchair, which I had purchased with my first Social Security check following my husband's death 15 years prior. The smell of peach pie filled the kitchen, while fresh coffee cooled on the end table. This was my quiet time, when the joints relaxed and I could just live, serving no one, while the news was whispered softly on the television. As though a hurricane had stormed inside the house, the front door smashed. I didn't check. I was certain of who it was. Derek entered as if he were the owner. Lena, my daughter, was carrying shopping bags behind him. Her shoulders were hunched, and she seemed to be apologizing for taking up space by keeping her gaze on the ground. I remained motionless. Derek obstructed my view by standing directly in front of the screen. As usual, he snorted when he spotted me doing nothing. He grabbed the remote control and hit the red button. The screen turned black. "Old woman, to your room," he shouted. The silence thickened as he spoke. "I've got the game on. The family room is mine now." His breathing was short and haughty, as though he had earned a right by shouting. I gently turned to look at Lena. Her knuckles were white on the handles of the shopping bags. As she stood in the doorway of the kitchen, our gazes locked. Lena bent her head and began adjusting a bag as if something had moved inside, and I expected for the most basic thing that she would say, "Don't you dare talk to my mother like that. This is her house." That gesture was more powerful than a shout. Derek's shout, noise, my daughter's silence, betrayal. A cold clarity washed over me, not anger, not shame, just a clear, icy sobriety. 35 years at the county recorder's office teaches you one thing: words don't matter. Documents always do. I rose. My knees clicked dryly. In that silence, the sound was like a formal seal. Derek was already sprawling on my couch, unbuttoning the top of his shirt and grabbing a can of soda without even looking at me. In his world, I had long been just part of the furniture. I walked past him and turned into my room, not to lock myself in or weep as they probably expected. I opened the bottom drawer of my dresser, pulled out a stiff leather pouch for bank business, and from the bottom, a set of keys and a blue elastic banded folder. My fingers slid between the rough sheets of paper. A bill of sale, old but valid, a current deed of title, owner, Celeste M. Everson. The paper was yellowed at the edges. Its power was ironclad. In the mirror, I saw my short gray hair, my glasses on a chain, my linen trousers, and a navy blouse. I looked like the grandma who bakes cookies. That was my main tactic. As long as grandma feeds the wolves, they feel like kings. The minute I closed the lid on the pot, the king's paws turned to putty. I returned to the family room. Derek had already turned on the sports channel and cranked the volume. Lena was clattering dishes. A voluntary silence instead of a stand. I walked towards the front door. My heel clicked on the hardwood floor. Derek turned his head, smirked, and raised his soda can. "Taking a stroll, Celeste," he sneered. "Don't get lost. At your age." I didn't answer. I turned the deadbolt. For a second I looked around the house. The framed print of the Savannah riverfront, the rug I vacuumed every Saturday, my son-in-law's back, my daughter's shadow in the kitchen. I touched the cluster of keys in my pocket. The cold metal was invigorating. I walked out, closing the door quietly, but firmly, like setting a period at the end of a sentence. Outside, the air was crisp. I wasn't cold. I exhaled, locked the front gate from the outside, walked to the avenue, and hailed a cab that pulled up. "Where to?" "The Grand Hyatt downtown." I took out my phone in the car. My fingers trembled slightly, not from fear, but from power. I scrolled through my contacts to a name I hadn't called in ages, but knew would answer. Andrew V. Sterling, attorney at law. We used to work near each other, him on property disputes, me on deeds. "Celeste, it's nearly 9 o'clock. What's wrong?" "I woke up," I said, looking at the city lights. "I need your help. I have court tomorrow morning." "Why the rush?" "My mental and property health." "I'm listening." "I want to evict 2 tenants." "But you live with your daughter and son-in-law." Exactly. A pause. He knew me from my signatures on title rejections. Where others saw maybe, I saw absolutely not. What did they do? He yelled. Old woman, this living room is mine now. My daughter stayed silent. I left, and I won't return until they are gone. I understand that's moral abuse at least, but you don't need pity. You need the law, right? The house is mine. They've lived here for 4 years without a lease, all at my expense. I need a notice to quit. I am terminating the gratuitous use of the property and demanding they vacate the home. Personal service is necessary. I'll send my junior associate, Roman P. Cruz, first thing tomorrow. He's quiet, professional, sharp in his suit, straight out of the box. He delivers the news clearly. He'll dupe. We usually give 30 days. That's fine. And include a warning in the text. 24 hours to understand the reality. And upon vacating, they will be billed for back rent and a penalty for holding over. Accepted. You are determined. I'm wounded, and a wounded woman who knows her rights is dangerous. Prepare the documents. I'll be at your office by 8. I'll sign before court, then send Roman to my house. The taxi stopped at the hotel. The doorman threw open the door with more attention than my son-in-law had shown me in 10 years. Can I help with your luggage? I only have my purse, I said quietly, and the dignity I just reclaimed. The room greeted me with the scent of lavender and clean corners. A large TV was opposite the bed. I turned on my favorite channel and set the volume to my liking. I ordered soup and a glass of Cabernet. I ate slowly. My thoughts were at the house, but they were now my thoughts. I knew their morning routine by heart. Derek sleeps late, grouchy. He's always tired. Lena runs around smoothing his edges. I pictured the door of my house, the intercom button, a confident finger pressing it. This wasn't a call for tea. This was the call of the law. The first gong. I fell asleep quickly and soundly like a person who has taken the wheel. I woke up with the sun, took a shower, the same clothes, but a new posture. I went to Mr. Sterling's office. Signatures, dates, property details. Every stroke of my pen sounded like a final judgment. Roman is heading out. Andrew nodded toward a tall young man with a leather briefcase. 20 minutes and he'll be at your fence. Perfect. I put my bag down and sat in the reception area. I'll wait here. Panic always remembers that it has a mother and a mother. The coffee from the machine smelled sweet. The clock on the wall whispered tick-tock somewhere. Over there in my family room, a different legal music was beginning. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't running between the stove and others' whims. I was simply waiting. 9:30. My phone vibrated on my knee. The day had begun. Lena was blinking on the screen. I let it ring 3 times, and only then did I swipe my finger across. Mama, mama, for heaven's sake. Her voice broke into a shriek. There's a man here, Roman, with a document. Derek is screaming. What is happening? Where are you? I held the receiver away from my ear to avoid his background shouting. Roman is the attorney's junior, I said calmly. Ask your husband to lower his voice. Take the notice, read it aloud, and tell Derek the old woman is unavailable for screaming today. But it says, eviction notice 30 days. Have you gone crazy, mama? Just Lena. For the first time in years, I am completely sane. Read the paper. Do what it says. The fewer screams, the better. I hit end call. The small red button returned silence to me, as easily as flipping a switch on a bedside lamp when I was a child. The office door opened slightly. Andrew V. Sterling peeked over his glasses. Daughter, I nodded. The show has opened on schedule. Roman served the papers. We have the signatures and the attachment inventory. Now we wait. I settled into the reception chair. The vending machine coffee smelled like caramel. The clock on the wall whispered, ticked up. I looked at the hands, but wasn't thinking of time. I was thinking of how for 4 years I had shrunk myself in my own house to the size of a footstool, so as not to disturb their moods. How I ate the burned edges of pie, leaving the center for the king of the living room. How I watched TV shows with headphones, so as not to interfere with their conference calls. How I paid triple the utility bill, and stayed silent. I opened my purse and pulled out a sheet folded into quarters, a pension statement, the lifetime payout from my banker husband, a couple of stable investment accounts. He figures stood neatly like soldiers. These figures meant I could live. These figures meant I didn't have to gravel. Next, a printout of transfers, the down payment for their black crossover, a gift for the young couple, temporary top-ups when their car payment almost bounced. The purpose of the payment: family support. My hand sometimes shook, but the signature was straight as a ruler. The habit of paperwork. The phone shuddered again. Lena. I flipped it face down. Then a text message from Derek arrived. Come home. Let's talk. No, Mom, please. No. I flicked the notifications away like crumbs from a table. Andrew V. Sterling walked into the hall. Tahi off it. I want something else, I replied. I need to turn off the utilities. Which ones? Everything in my name. The fiber optic internet, the cable with the sports package, the landline, and the supplementary card Lena uses for groceries. Not to cancel, but to suspend. I can reactivate them when the house is mine alone again. He smirked. That will be felt. Yesterday was painful, I said. Today is merely felt. They are different things. I took a small notebook from my purse. On a clean page appeared a simple plan. Step 1. Legal completed. Papers served. Deadlines and consequences outlined. Step 2. Financial. Turn off the taps. Let the king of the living room learn the price of his kingdom. Step 3. Silence. No scandals, no justifications, only facts. The phone vibrated again. I glanced at it. Lena was typing long, frantic messages. He's furious. We've been shamed. People were watching. Where are you? Let's talk. I put the phone down and said nothing. Today, my nothing was the answer. Is there a decent clothing store nearby? I asked, putting the notebook away. The Gallery Mall is 2 blocks away, Andrew V. Sterling said. What are you planning? I am dressed like a grandma, I said, meeting his eyes. And I am going to set boundaries. I need a uniform. You are dangerous when you are calm. Now, he said it without smiling. I'm just returning to myself, I replied, taking my purse and heading for the door. Outside, it was bright and dry. I walked quickly, not looking back. The windows reflected me, stiffer, with a straighter back. My mind was clear and steady. Where to go, what to say, whom to call. No pity, no revenge, only order. At the mall entrance, I paused for a second, ran my fingers over the strap of my purse, and exhaled. First the uniform, then tap after tap. The Gallery Mall was 2 blocks away. I walked briskly, as if going to work, shoulders straight, step measured. Inside, the light, the window displays, the music from the ceiling. In the classic clothing department, I was met by a consultant with a name tag that read, Jenna. Her gaze was attentive, without cooing. I need a uniform, I said. Come. Businesslike. Today, I am setting boundaries. Jenna nodded and disappeared between the racks. She returned with dark blue straight-leg trousers, a white cotton blouse, and a beige linen blazer. In the fitting room, the fabric settled just right. The trousers sharpened my posture. The blouse was crisp, and the blazer pulled everything together. I put on leather pumps with a low but distinct heel. The tap-tap on the tile was like a metronome. I folded my old clothes into a bag. Give these to the charity box, I said. Let them serve someone else. I sat on a soft ottoman by the fitting room, took out my notebook and phone. First call to the service provider. Good afternoon. I am the contract holder. I request a temporary suspension of services at this address. Internet, cable TV, sports package, and landline number. Reason repairs start today. The operator read the required warning. The signal would be disconnected within 2 hours. Discounted monthly fee confirmed. Second call to the bank. I am the primary account holder. I request you block the supplementary card in Lena Everson's name. Reason, security. Please lower the online limits and keep SMS alerts only on my number. Done, a voice replied. The changes are now in effect. I hung up. My stomach growled, not from hunger, but from the adrenaline slowly dissipating. On the second floor in a quiet restaurant, I ordered a mushroom risotto and a glass of dry white wine. I placed my phone next to me, face down. Spoon, fork, breathe. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't eating stealthily or on the run. 10 minutes later, my palm felt a short vibration. A text message from the bank. Transaction declined. $1.85. Butcher shop. Prime ribeye. I smiled. A short, unsentimental smile. Almost immediately, another message flashed. The cards aren't working. Call the bank. We are at the register. Derek's number. I calmly dialed the response. It's not a malfunction. It's a freeze. The credit and the trust both expired yesterday along with your game. I put the phone face down and finished my risotto slowly, tasting every grain. I paid the check with my card. I passed through easily like walking through the door of my own house. At the exit, I bought a bottle of water, caught a cab, and returned to the Grand Hyatt. The lobby was cool, smelling of cleanliness, the rug springing beneath my feet. In the room, I slipped off my new shoes, placed the keys on the nightstand. The familiar metallic jingle answered with calmness inside me. I turned on the TV to a music channel and slept for an hour. My body took what it needed. I woke to the clear ring of the lamp. That sound rarely means nothing. Hello, reception. Good afternoon. Your daughter is in the lobby. She urgently asks to come up, or rather asks you to come down. She says it's urgent. I looked at the clock. The perfect time for a clear conversation without midnight hysterics. I washed my face, smoothed my hand over the lapel of the beige blazer, and adjusted the chain on my glasses. The same woman looked back at me in the mirror, but her spine was straighter. Tell her I'll be right down, I said calmly and hung up. I took the keys from my purse. Today they jingled differently, like the bells on a door behind which order has long been waiting. I inhaled deeply, pressed the elevator button, and stepped inside. Lena was waiting for me downstairs, and not just her. The elevator doors slid open softly. In the Grand Hyatt lobby, Lena paced between the couches. Her blouse was wrinkled, her bun messy, and there were shadows under her eyes. She saw me in the beige blazer, and it was as if she had walked into glass. She stopped. Mama. She stepped forward and froze 2 steps away, blocked by my gaze. What is all this? The internet has died. Cable number 2. The card will not be accepted. Derek is going crazy. You're where? Come on, let's get home. I gestured to an armchair and said, enough with the drama. We are in a respectable place. Sit down. We will speak calmly. She obediently sank onto the edge, clasping her hands. Mom, let's talk like family. She switched to a soft, placating tone, the one people use with children and the elderly. He'd just had a bad day yesterday, but he already texted you apologizing. Let's go. I'll make tea. We'll talk it through. I am not offended, Lena, I said evenly. I have made a decision. The house is mine. You have lived here for 4 years without a lease. I am giving you 30 days to move out. As of today, 0 utilities. This is not revenge. This is order. But he has to work. She flared up. He has calls, deadlines. You are ruining his reputation. Let him work from a co-working space, from a cafe, or from his mother's house. I countered. The internet, the TV, and the supplementary card were paid for by me. Not anymore. You are not a life-sustaining necessity on my budget. You are an expense which I have now closed. She sucked her lips in. You're humiliating us, she whispered. Everyone saw it at the store today. The card failed. Humiliation is being thrown out of my own family room, I said quietly. It is eating the burned edges of pie while leaving the center for the king. Today, no one is humiliating anyone. Today, everyone pays their own bill. She tried to mount a defense, but we were saving. We had money. Derek said, where is the money, Lena? I inquired. The savings, just for bills and living expenses, should be close to $100,000 over 4 years. What location is it? Her gaze drifted sideways. Her shoulders fell. He said it was tied up in business, investing. He would show me later. He will show you. I nodded. Tomorrow, at 10 o'clock sharp, at Mr. Sterling's office. You are both invited. We will see what your business is. You called a lawyer against your own family. She was testing me. I called the rules. I replied, family is respect. Not go to your room, old woman, and the living room is mine. Tomorrow is about the rules. She sighed and her voice broke. If we leave, he's going to file for divorce. He says if he doesn't have your house, he doesn't want to be with me. His words stung, not with pity, but with crystal clarity. I covered her clasped hands with mine as I leaned forward. She jerked her hands away as though they were scorched. If your marriage is held together by my square footage and my bank accounts, that's not family, Lena. That's a hostage situation, and you are the hostage. You have turned into a jerk, nasty and elderly. Calmly, I have become an adult, I declared. We didn't say anything. At 68 years old, you are 40. You have a head start. Use it. Teacups clinked softly in the lobby. A person passed by, gave it a questioning look, and then turned away. Just turn the internet back on, she attempted once again. He won't cope, and neither will I. No, internetchi, I responded, but your voice is fine. Tomorrow we talk at the attorney's office. Today, silence. Lena stood up, adjusted the strap of her purse, searched my face for my former softness, and didn't find it. She backed toward the exit. I'll be there. She tossed over her shoulder. Be there, at 10 sharp. I nodded. She left quickly. I watched her go, and only then did I feel the tension drain out of me. Not a loss of strength, but a normalization of breath. I took the stairs up. I needed the walk. In the room, I turned on the desk lamp and opened my laptop. He won't cope, and neither will I. No internet, primera responde, but your voice is fine. Tomorrow we talk at the attorney's office. Today, silence. Lena stood up, adjusted the strap of her purse, searched my face for my former softness, and didn't find it. She backed toward the exit. I'll be there, she tossed over her shoulder. Be there at 10 sharp. I nodded. She left quickly. I watched her go, and only then did I feel the tension drain out of me. Not a loss of strength, but a normalization of breath. I took the stairs up. I needed the walk. In the room, I turned on the desk lamp and opened my laptop. A message was blinking in my inbox from Andrew V. Sterling. Celeste. Notice served. Derek's corporate lawyers have confirmed receipt. He's been sending internal emails pressuring you. The director was copied. Reprimand likely. Negotiations tomorrow at 10 o'clock sharp. Both will attend. Sincerely, A.V. Sterling. I closed the lid. Haste is the sister of fear. The king of the living room was already making mistakes. I opened my phone, scrolled through the settings, and turned off the family location app. The same one Derek had installed for my safety years ago. Geolock access prohibited flashed on the screen. Good. My dot on the map belonged to me again. I took the keys out of my purse and spilled them onto the nightstand. The metal jingled cleanly like a new password. Outside, the lights stretched along the avenue. The air conditioning hummed steadily. I sat on the edge of the bed and felt it. Order inside. Not victory, not euphoria, just order. Tomorrow at 10 o'clock. The conference room door would open, and 3 people would walk in. Him, my daughter, and the law. The conference room was cool. The air conditioning was blowing cold air. I asked to be seated at the head of the table. To my right, Andrew V. Sterling, neat folders, pen parallel to the edge. On the table, my driver's license, the deed of title, the notice of termination of gratuitous use. My armor today was simple. A beige blazer, a direct gaze, and paper. The door clicked. The paralegal murmured, "They're here." Derek stumbled in first. His usual arrogance was faded. A wrinkled shirt, his tie loosed like a noose, dark circles under his eyes. Behind him, Lena clutched her purse to her chest, her eyes glued to the floor. "Please be seated," Andrew V. Sterling said with his baritone like a judge's gavel. "I'm not here for a greeting," Derek snapped immediately, pulling out a chair. "Enough with this show. We've lived there for 4 years. We have rights." I looked over my glasses. I paused deliberately so his anger would be audible. "Rights are exactly why we are here," I said calmly. "The house is my sole property. You are using it at the owner's goodwill. I have terminated that. The notice is on the table. The deadline is 30 days. There's something called adverse possession." He shot back. His words tripped over each other. "We possessed it openly as owners. Have you even seen the law?" "I have." I smiled slightly. "And I worked with it for 35 years. Adverse possession applies when the owner doesn't live there, doesn't pay, and doesn't object. I live there, I pay, and I object. You are not owners. You are temporary and loud users." Derek's jaw clenched. He turned his eyes to Andrew V. Sterling, seeking support. "The notice is proper," the attorney confirmed smoothly. "Service was executed. Upon expiration of the deadline, a lawsuit will be filed for eviction and recovery of fair market rent from the date of the notice." "This is illegal," Derek raised his voice. "She cut off our internet, our funds, emotional distress. I'm suing." "Internet is not a life-sustaining utility," Andrew V. Fifth Sterling said, unblinking. "If you want it, connect it yourself and pay for it." "Lena, tell her." He jabbed his finger at my daughter. "She's destroying our family." Lena blinked. Her lips trembled, and then there was silence again. I slid a folder toward her. "Let the paper speak," I said. "Derek, for 4 years, you were supposedly saving for a condo. Nearly $100,000 in savings just on living expenses and bills. Where is the money in business?" He tried to smirk. "Investing, futures, leverage. You old folks wouldn't understand. I like specifics." I pulled a stack of papers from an envelope, 3 loan default notices, and here the broker statement. Margin call. Balance below 0. Derek lunged for the paper, but Andrew V. Sterling's hand landed first. "Put it down. Let your wife read it." Lena took the sheets. Her fingers shook. Her eyes darted over the figures and lines. I saw the moment of realization. Her shoulders slumped. Her mouth dropped open. One heavy tear. Not of pity, but of cold awareness. 0. Even a deficit, she whispered. "Yes," I said, softer, but firm. Nothing was saved. There were bets, games, $85, prime rebuy, and imported beer. All on my card. I would have made it back. Derek flared up. "The market is turning around. I just needed one more infusion. And that's why you needed my living room." I raised an eyebrow. to lose louder, and to send me to my room in the process. He clenched his fists. The anger in his eyes was undercut by fear. I'm your son-in-law, he forced out. Family is supposed to help. Family is respect and boundaries. I said, you offered neither, and you will receive neither. I stood up. That movement was enough to make everyone straighten. Terms, I stated, clipping my words, 30 days to move out. The internet, cable, and supplementary cards will not be returned. If I hear screaming when I visit to collect my winter clothes, I will immediately call the police and file a report for threats. We'll see how job recruiters feel about that on top of your corporate reprimand. Derek slumped in his chair as if his internal bolts had been unscrewed. Lena put her hands over her face. One could hear the terror of the air conditioner. In addition, I looked at my daughter. You can choose this. You have 30 days to choose between swimming to the surface and continuing to drown with a man who deceived you and pulled you under. I am a mother, but I am neither a bank nor a free cafeteria. Lena put her hands down. She stared directly at me for the first time in a long time. But you will find a place if I have nowhere to go, she said in a horrifying whisper. You sell the crossover, work, rent a studio apartment, and handle your own finances. I have fully paid for my classes. I collected my papers and placed them in the folder. Andrew V. Sterling got to his feet. The meeting has ended. All future correspondence will be handled in writing by Roman. Around the table I went. I halted for half a step as I passed Derek. You are free to operate your own life's remote control as much as you like, but it is no longer functional on my home. The light looked warmer in the hallway, the air purifier. I heard a chair behind the door scrape as I made my way to the elevator. Lena's hushed murmur, Derek's brief curse. The elevator rang. The doors shut. In my purse, my phone began to vibrate. Lena. I didn't respond right away. I inhaled deeply 3 times before clicking accept. I had the phone in my hand. After taking 3 breaths, I responded. Mom, Lena said in a hushed voice, like if she had just had a cold. I stayed out of his car. You're where? In the parking lot downstairs. He's banging the steering wheel while yelling in the car. I turned to leave. I couldn't get in, even though he told me to. Excellent, calmly, I said. Stroll, take a breath. There are shouts waiting, so don't go back too quickly. She said nothing. In the background, I could hear the cacophony of traffic. You broke the family, he says. Lena, unplugged internet doesn't destroy a family. Screaming and lying do. Once more, silence. I'm grateful, Mama. Hardly audible. I can see, but it hurts. The first step is to see, I answered. Sterling's office tomorrow at 10. Are you able to attend? I am able to. I hung up after we breathed into the phone for a moment more. The smell of heated asphalt filled the street. I walked out of the office, held my face up to the light, and called for a cab. Where are we going? To a nice restaurant, I responded. I ordered clam chowder, a salad, and a glass of dry white wine while sitting by the riverfront window. I'm having a celebration today without toasts. I put my phone down, face down. There was a slight clink of my teaspoon on the glass. The tablecloth was dancing with sunbeams. I ate carefully, as if I were her own mistress once more. For a moment, my phone vibrated. The bank's messages. Completed transfers to the protected account. Additional cards were closed. Beneficiary changes for life insurance are handled. Verification in your virtual account. Without anyone to see, I grinned. Everything is tied up. My signature wouldn't be seen by anyone else. An email from Andrew V. Sterling almost soon followed. Roman will be at the gates with the inventory and handover document at precisely 8 o'clock on the day. The 30-day period expires for your control. Make a call if there are any threats. The censure has been validated with regard to Derek's employment. Like closing a case file, I drank the wine all the way down. In my mind, a switch flicked. The last act was planned. I used my card to make the payment. I strolled beside the water. They quarreled over insignificant matters. Children whizzed past on scooters. The wind carried the scent of heated metal and river air. I spotted myself in a store window. The same lady, only more intelligent on the inside, a grown-up rather than a hero or victim. In the evening, I went back to the Grand Hyatt and removed my blazer. The hanger could hold the armor. I laid out the papers, keys, and little notebook on the bedside table. I printed out a blank page and scribbled, Day 30, Plan Morning Roman. Deed and keys. I'm not home. No scenes. Evening. Open windows. Mopped the floor with warm water and disinfectant. Scrubbed the rug with a stiff brush. Tomorrow. Painter. Color, peach. The telephone rang. I'm on a foldable cot at Zoe's, Lena. Everything is all right. He made numerous calls. He was blocked by me. I said, good girl, get some rest. 10 o'clock tomorrow. Did you ever fear being alone yourself, Mom? I was, I replied truthfully, until I came to the realization that being in a place where you don't exist is worse. With a sigh, she bid farewell. The coating that had stuck to me in my own family room for years was removed by the water in the shower. I changed into a basic nightgown, lay down on top of the comforter, and let the music play quietly in the background. There was an honest silence in the room, the kind where you could hear your own breath. I had coffee, water, and porridge at the cafe in the morning. The news made a man at the adjacent table frown. The major stories in my life had already been published. I went to Andrew V. Thurling's office to sign Roman's power of attorney, cover letters, and final documents before I left. We had a brief but professional conversation. Continue, Celeste, he said. This is the appropriate thing to do. I answered, I'm just doing what's mine. The sun was warm outside. I visited the salon. I wanted my hair to be as long as my spine. The hair was swiftly cut off by the stylist. The gray shone like unadulterated silver. The same face was in the mirror, but the eyes were not waiting for someone else to make a choice. It was the eyes of someone who had the keys in her pocket. I stood at a red light at an intersection and grinned. Following the rules at home and on the road made things so easy. For a moment, my phone beeped. Roman attested. Day 30, precisely 8 o'clock. We'll be at the entrance. We'll finish the inventory and check the locks. I placed the phone in my handbag. Like a seal, the clasp clicked dryly. I went back to the Grand Hyatt in the evening, shut off the lights, and opened the window just enough to allow in as much of the city noise as I desired. On the nightstand were the keys. I took them up. It was hot on the metal. The following day, day 0, he would come into my house with the screech of a moving truck's tires instead of a shout. I didn't have an alarm when I woke up on day 30. Like a piece of paper before a signature, the light in the window was uniform. I traveled out of town to a spa after eating breakfast and setting my phone face down. Today, I wouldn't be at home. Roman dialed. At the gates. The moving truck is here. They are beginning, I said. Go by the inventory. I may be reached by phone. Water, steam, and herbal tea came next. There was just one thing on my mind as I gazed at the ceiling. I'm going to clean the floor and open the windows tonight. That's all. My phone vibrated momentarily at 11 o'clock. Despite his noise, Derek signed. Keys were given. The inventory is finished. A few mount-related holes in the walls. Markings on furniture. Locks are still in place. 12:30. They have vanished. I returned the phone. Just a fact. No joy or rage. The conclusion? I made a stop at a hardware store at 2. Mop rags, floor cleanser, and gloves. I contacted a painter Andrew V. Sterling had recommended while I was on my way. Can you begin tomorrow at 9? The hallway's family room. Peach color. A man's voice answered. We'll finish in a day. The key turned effortlessly at the gates, as though the house had let out a breath. I entered and came to a standstill. There was nobody in the family room. The floor has footprints from the couch legs. The wall has ugly holes in it. It was stale and heavy. I flung open every window. The traces of someone else's life were taken away by a draft that moved from the kitchen to the garden and disturbed the curtains. I put on the gloves. The baseboards and shelves came first, followed by the dust-filled nooks until later. I filled a garbage bag with the outdated magazines that no one read. I hung the painting lower and wiped the framed image of the Savannah riverfront because it was more comfortable for me than fashionable. Warm water was sprayed on the floor twice, and a stiff brush was used to the rug. Every action brought the house back to life. I turned on the kettle by nightfall. The quiet was golden, like new wax on parquet flooring, rather than empty. Then, a brief, courteous ring. I recognized the person. I said, "Come in, Lena," at the door. "The coffee has just started to brew." Slowly, she entered and looked around. "It's beautiful, quiet, warm." "It's peach," I replied. "Sit." We took seats across from one another. A plate of pie and 2 mugs are on the table. Lena grasped the warmth of her mug with both hands. She looked at the steam and remarked, "I rented a studio apartment. It's not big. Upstairs, the neighbor enjoys loud music. It's my ceiling, even though it's low. I cover the cost myself." I filed for divorce and started working full-time. The documents are being processed by the Pruno attorney. I gave a nod. I had a sense of warmth, quietness, and unsent. I said, that's the right path. It will be painful. After then, it will settle. He claims that you split up the family. She gave a small smile. And I saw that you just ceased spreading the falsehood. We said nothing. The garden beyond the window rustled like fresh linens. She put her palm over mine and continued, thank you for saying no. I was unable to hear myself while you were filling up the spaces. I answered, hearing yourself is not a luxury, it's order. She took a deep breath. Can I come over as a guest, Mama? Just tea and conversation? No keys, no staying over. I said, that's exactly what you should do. The door is open to visitors. Tenant access is temporarily unavailable. For a moment, we shared an adult embrace. She moved toward the gate after adjusting her purse's strap on the porch. Like someone who set her own speed, she moved straight forward without turning around. I went back into the family space. There was a gentle glow on the peach walls. On the end table was the notebook. My phone blinked with a message from Zoe as I opened a blank page and scribbled, Wednesday 400 p.m. sharp tea with the neighbors. Topic, wills, separate accounts, passwords, bring questions, and a notebook. Celeste. Betty is in tears. She is under pressure from her son to give him the house. Mom, investment. Later I'll get you a nicer one. She's scared to refuse. I'm worried he'll be upset. Is it possible for us to visit tomorrow? I typed, come at 4 o'clock. The papers and kettle are prepared. I closed the notebook after signing the bottom of the page. The warmth and cleanliness of the house eventually served a function. The doorbell would ring tomorrow, but it wouldn't be a catastrophe. It would be the start. I put pens, blank sheets, and envelopes on the table, retrieved my document folder, and boiled the kettle by 4 o'clock on Wednesday. Wednesday 4 p.m., the house smelled of peach cobbler and fresh paint. The peach walls seemed warmer than usual in the soft sunlight. Not a show, but order. I scribbled in huge pencil letters on the folder cover. The bell rang for a brief while. First came Zoe, then Olga, then almost at once they brought in Betty, stooped with red eyes. She remarked from the doorway, my son is pressing me to give him the house. Investment, Mama. I'll buy you a better one later. I'm scared to refuse, afraid he'll be angry. Sit down. I began to pour the tea. Let's start simply. Gifting the house is forever. You can't take it back. If you want to leave something to someone, write a will. As long as you are alive, the property remains yours. For a last resort, we can discuss a life estate. But that's careful work. No rushing. Zoe nodded. And don't give passwords to anyone. Not to the kids, not to the grandkids. For their games. Exactly. I slid a sheet of paper toward Betty. Here is a phrase for you to start the conversation. I am not ready to change the owner of the property. To think about it, yes. To sign, no. Your son will push. Repeat the phrase, word for word. If he starts yelling, leave the room. Close the door. You only sign papers when your head is calm. Olga snickered. Next, you'll be giving her the lawyer's number. I will. I nodded. It's Roman, Andrew V. Sterling's associate. He doesn't yell, and he reads the fine print quickly. But it's best not to sign anything on emotion or on weekends when the county office is closed. We sat and wrote down short bullet points. Will, instead of a gift deed, separate accounts, a receipt for every penny borrowed, prohibition on shared passwords, a power of attorney only limited, and with an end date. I showed them where to find the owner's name on their property tax records, and I explained that staying with Mom for a year turns into a lifestyle after 4 years, if you don't call things by their names. Betty initially flinched at every word, no, but by the end she straightened up and asked for more tea. Girls, I feel lighter, she said. I'm going home today not to cry, but to talk. We're here every Wednesday, Zoe replied. At 4, your queries, your tea. They were not quieter when they left, but they were more confident than when they arrived. I opened the windows, wiped the table, and cleaned the mugs. The scent of damp grass filled the garden. The house was airy. At 8, Lena dropped by. She knocked as if she were a visitor. May I enter? The tea is still warm. After removing her jacket, she approached the peach wall and touched the paint. It's lovely, she murmured. Warm. A house should be warm. Everything else is extra. We settled in taking in the warmth. She grasped the mug with both hands. She stated, I was at the lawyer's, while gazing directly ahead. Can I occasionally visit as a guest? The divorce is progressing. Full-time work is steady. I don't want supplementary cards for milk anymore. I pay myself. Just tea and conversation, no keys, no staying over. I said, that's exactly what you should do. The door is open to visitors. It is permanently closed to renters. It isn't unkind. It is a regulation. She nodded, gave it some thought, and then grinned a little. What do you know? Your no is missed. I've been learning your yes my entire life. I'm currently learning your second word. Offense is not the reason for the no. It's about boundaries, I said. Mine and yours. Any grown-ups. We were silent as we sat. The clock ticked softly in the kitchen. The rowan tree was swaying outside the breeze side. Lena got to her feet. She gave me a quick, adult-like hug and said, "Thank you, Mama. I never would have heard myself if you hadn't shut off the utilities that day." Adult life is hearing yourself, I said. Proceed. Tomorrow at 4, I have a meeting. Don't disappoint me in front of your neighbors. Grinning, she walked away. She took a solid step without turning around. An unidentified number blinked on the nightstand in the hallway. Even without a name, I could identify those calls. I quietly pressed block after nearly reaching for it. Life is full of news, but I'm not obligated to answer calls about other people's difficulties. I went through the family room, kitchen, and hallway of the house. My papers were arranged on the shelf in a tidy stack. I hung the Savannah waterfront print, where I felt most at ease. I have a clean notebook in my study. I took a seat and opened it. I wrote the owner's story about the house on the first line. For myself and the people who are still seated in their green recliners, hesitant to reach for the remote control. Not for Lena. How fear disguises itself as care. How habit drowns out your voice. How one phrase, I wrote, to your room, old woman, exposes the whole scheme. How documents give you back your spine, and how unplugged internet can suddenly turn on your brain. I wrote that you cannot give up your home or yourself, not out of sympathy or love, and that cohabitation without respect is a hostage situation rather than a family, and that a prompt no is preferable to 1,000 yeses. After putting the notepad in the drawer, I went back to the family room and touched the back of the green recliner with my palm. I took a seat. The most commonplace black gadget, the remote control, was resting on the end table. I had it in my palm. It was merely an object and no longer a representation of someone else's strength. I found the music when I switched on the television. Purely and without hesitancy, the violin played. There were no footsteps coming from the hallway. No shutting off. To your room? No. I closed my eyes, listened, and slowly turned up the volume by one notch. It was just as loud as I preferred, neither louder nor quieter. I said out loud, "Enough." Abruptly, I realized that the word now meant a lot more. It indicated that I was mature enough to establish rules in my own house. It meant that I had sufficient strength for cards and square feet rather than saving people who weren't pleading for salvation. It indicated that I had lived long enough to comprehend a basic reality. Keys and deeds are only one aspect of ownership. It's about having the freedom to select the music volume, the people at your table, and the silence. I listened to the home after turning off the TV. It was breathing steadily. Outside the window, the garden grew darker. Somewhere a branch twitched. In a pipe, water clinked. Nothing spectacular. Just the straightforward life that I was at last not renting out. My beige blazer hanging on the hanger in the entryway. In order to prevent a minor issue from becoming a major one, I fixed the lapel. On the nightstand, the keys jingled. It was hot on the metal. My key bundle was the only one there was. Wednesday, 400 p.m. sharp. Wills and passwords was scribbled in the notebook for tomorrow. I shut the cover, put the kettle on for the morning, and switched off the light. Most significantly, I was home again, even though the house was mine. And I now control the volume in my life, just like I do with the remote. I'm so happy you're here and that I can tell you my tale. Please, let me know if you enjoyed it by subscribing to my channel and enjoying the video. Let's count the number of us. Tell us where city you're viewing from and what hour it is in the comments section. I would love to know where all of you amazing people are watching from. You can also contribute a little payment if you would want to help me out a bit more. Every single day, I tell you new life stories. 2 of my most well-known stories will now appear on the screen for you to select one to watch.